Blue skies, that's right. It's a beautiful day here in Los Angeles. Will it be my last? I don't know. I'm not sure what that police officer was telling me yesterday. I spent about an hour talking to a police officer about how to go through the system, what's going on. And I'm going to make a prediction. That's right. The prophet of 2039 is back. Somewhere. They're gearing up to clean up the city. Now, they told me that I would have to go through the system. When you surrender, you go through the system. You surrender to the system. You go straight to a shelter. That's it. And good luck, pal, right? I've been to homeless shelters in Las Vegas. And, it depends on the facility. I prefer a halfway house, but hey, there is high weirdness going on there as well. Make no mistake about it. How'd you guys like my Pauly Shore story, huh? I have a story about almost everything. Okay, and now I get this from my mother's side of the family. Now, while we might not be able to see eye to eye, and I did the best I can with being a good brother and a good son under the circumstances. I don't know where I'm going. Let me know if something falls in my hair. It's very strange. It's not even, it's still June and it feels, it's like cloudy, like it was fall, but yet it's kind of like April showers. Like I said, climate change is local. Okay, I'm not going to talk about any current events. Okay, don't forget, they are using this tech. They are using the algorithm in your phone. Okay, don't forget my other episodes. I know I sure haven't. Just in case something happens to me, oh boy. Either, I'll get a job or my job will be pushing up daisies. We'll see. I just hope they don't pull any shenanigans on me like they were trying to pull in Florida and Michigan. I don't appreciate it, and I'll talk about it till the day I die. But except today, I'm going to stay on track. We're going to talk about Jeremy Cloud and Walter. That's right. This is the exciting part. You guys excited? All right, so when I do the Lech character, I do it for you guys, okay? And I think what's happening is there are a lot of people that actually believe like I'm this Lech character. And just to let you know, I do that for the show. And what I want to do is to be in a relationship, not a throuple. I mean, just a normal relationship. That's all I ever wanted, right? With somebody of the opposite sex or somebody who dresses like him. That's a great joke. I don't really care. It's my age. Me too. Right? Anyway, so I do a lot of things for my show. I talk about a lot of things. You're welcome to challenge them. That's fine with me. Nobody does. I get the silent treatment, but I keep going. Okay? And so there's that. So in case you don't know, I'm writing a novel, and this novelization includes all of my songs. Now, don't forget. Oh, I had a great analogy this morning. I slept in, guys. Whoa. I couldn't get up because I went off my regimen. And like I said, I was talking to a police officer, and I was getting the old 911 on, the 411 on what's going on. And it looks like they are going to change. They're gearing up. Now, they have to pre-gear up in the government. And they are gearing up for probably a Trump 2024 crackdown. I'm not kidding. That's kind of the inference that I get. That's the prediction that I'm making, because I'm allowed to do that. I can form a hypothesis and come up with an alternative idea. When it comes to, I don't know, pretty much anything. How do you think books are written? Years later after the fact, right? And we can see that I put the thumbnail for JFK yesterday, and you could see that it led right into the Vietnam War. It led right into drugs. It led right into the 70s. It led right into, anyway. Okay. I feel great today. I slept in, guys. I got my 6 hours solid. And then, I rolled over. I was doing some lucid dreaming, but I can't remember. It was very lucid. I'm very loose, like some of the women I've dated. And so, yeah, very lucid dreaming. You can see him drinking my second favorite flavor. So, we have Walter came to America. He's done 2 films. They told him that Pork Chops and the Who's Cow didn't do that well, but it's the 1950s. It came out in 1950, so there's no way for really him to check. He doesn't care. He's wrapped up into his personal life. I'm going to keep that out of our story. I'm just going to give you some beats, okay? Now, he gets involved in Grabowski, and then he has to move on because the film is over. The studio... The studio is acquiring books. They just acquired a publishing house. And then, of course, down the road, they're going to be acquiring music. And that music is going to be lampooned. And some of the same characters, like I said, from Walter's film is going to be another one of Walter's film. And the guys in the studio are going to show up in the punk rock universe. Yes! Linoleum blown apart. That's right! Hey. He has a girlfriend named JoJo, like Josephine. And she's a goth chick, and she is the queen of the goths in the scene. Okay, but I can't tell you any of that stuff. I'm sure many of you could use your imagination. I don't want to say that. I'm giving you too much credit. So, anyway. So, it's 1950. Pork Chops and the Who's Cow comes out, and when Walter goes to his meetings, and they're trying to figure out what script they're going to work on next, all the guys that come around, just the men, like in Mad Men, they come up, oh, I love that Pork Chops. It's all guys that come up, man, I love that film. So nobody comes up and says that they love Of Reasonable Service, because it's kind of a given. It's From Here to Eternity, right? Everybody loved this film. And everyone went to go see it. And all the people, all the soldiers coming back from the war were having sex in the theater, right? Again, I'm getting things from my own life, okay? And we got to put them in there, and it's going to be funny. It's going to be like 1941. It's really funny. On one of my episodes, I called the film 1941, 1942, and that's when the war starts. Anyway, that's our local bus here. In case you don't know, I've been here for almost 2 years now. So I want to move here and I want to live here. And when I came here, I got jobs. And I'm going to continue to work, whatever job I can get. Like I said, I'm here to work. I'm a worker. I'm an earner. I always have been. So I'm not really worried about it too much. What I'm worried about is people creating narratives about you and around you. And like I said, when they invest this much time into making sure you get arrested, there could be some trouble ahead, and I don't appreciate it. I'll just tell you that right now. You can call me whatever you want, but I lived like a true embedded journalist. You understand? What you guys don't understand is relatively early on, when Hunter S. Thompson became a quote-unquote gonzo journalist, he realized that he was surrounded by a bunch of mopes who actually made a lot of things up. And then he started doing it. And he started putting himself in it. And he started reporting about what was around him. And that's what was so refreshing about it. And he realized that he could he could kick out a 1,000-word article, a 5,000-word article about a motorcycle race in Las Vegas, or he could kind of stay there, sit in his room, use a little enhancer. You know me, I used to like Sigmund Freud's study enhancer. And he could actually get a lot done, get a lot of writing done. He could be more creative than he would be running around as a quote-unquote reporter. And he still got work as a reporter, okay? So that's just a little different take that you get from me. This is what I'm trying to tell you. This kind of stuff comes out years later. Like I was talking about John Lennon, Tony King, people like that. You find this stuff out years and years later, and boom, you've got a great book. You got a best-selling book, and you can make money off this kind of stuff. And this is the kind of thinking that I have, right? Now, I can't really balance my own budget. That's a different show for a different time. But I am a team player. Make no mistake about it. Now, when I went to New York and I was a production assistant, I did not have any connections whatsoever. This is unprecedented, guys. Even that this feckless, phony Nicky the Greek, I call him, Mama's Boy, Queens, New York, police officer buddy runs game. Ugh, bunch of phony, no talent hacks. Yeah, his cousin got him in. Nobody got me in, man. I did it on my own. Okay, I went from being an extra and I stopped taking jobs at MTV because I knew they weren't paying. I did that early on. I realized, man, it's like I need at least a 50 to show up. I was living by the seat of my pants. Ain't nobody got stories like me. That's right. And like I said, I got it from my mother's side of the family. And I'm not putting them down, and I'm not putting her down. But without a tight-knit family, you're doomed. You're doomed. And that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people stay back in Michigan, and they built from the ground up. I didn't have that luxury. I didn't have that pleasure. Right, lad. Right? I had to go out into the world and find my way. You guys heard this story before, and I really appreciate you watching. So Jeremy Cloud shows up. Hey, listen, we got a best-selling book for you. Best-selling book, yeah? Yeah, it's this guy, Jeremy Cloud. Jeremy Cloud. Now, he's like a Terry Southern, right? And the two films that they're going to work on, well, let's just start with the very first one. It's going to be like Dr. Strangelove, but it's like Strangelove meets Hitchcock, okay? It's a film called The Spangled Banner. Now, the reason that they're making this film, I can make a lot of parallels in what's going on right now with a white zombie. I don't know. I used to like the band White Zombie until they, I don't know. I was gonna say they ruined stripper rock. Anyway, they became stripper rock, and then now they don't. They listen to hip hop and stripper rock. Whatever. They used to listen to EDM. Anyway, the White Zombie that's in the White House. Everybody knows it. Okay, everybody knows it, and I'm telling you right now, the AI that's assigned to you is creating a disturbance in your nervous system, and it's getting you emotionally invested in something that maybe you might not want to be emotionally invested in. Maybe you don't want to destroy your family over a presidential candidate who doesn't even know that you're alive. Right? I mean, look at this guy. Talk about White Zombie. Man, don't we have the oldest president? You know how the pendulum's going to swing back. You're going to get somebody AOC's age. That's what you get. Right? That's what you get. What are you going to do? Anyways, we're here to question the mainstream, because if you buy into one side of the lie, then you're giving credence to the other side. If you're buying into one side of the lie, you're giving credence to the other side. And let me tell you something. I love my analogies. I love when I make my analogies. And the one about Bud Light was spot on. Spot on. If you're in the Panopticon, please have your cameras on the Bud Light aisle so we can watch a bunch of straight men lose their minds and punch beer cans and smash them and dance around. Look, honey, I drank a Bud Light. Right? Anyway, so what I'm writing is I'm writing my first novel. I write short stories. All those are always available. Okay? And so I didn't get no coffee. So I'm writing a novel, and this novel is going to be a television series. Okay? You're going to watch it on TV. It's got original songs. The original songs are great. I just passed this girl. She's got a Blink-182 shirt on. Okay? There is room for this music. People want to hear this music. They're going to love it, right? Because it's not going to be me singing it, right? The songs are going to be played by the band in the film. You understand? Just like David Chase, when they first came to him and they said, hey, you want to make a film? Yeah, I want to make a film. And he made Not Fade Away, right? It's this rock and roll film. And then what I really loved about that is he did the voiceover from the Little Sister, right? Little sister, don't you? So Walter's in the studio. People are acting weird. You know, he's just kind of like this Barton Fink character right now. He's just still learning everything. But don't forget, he's not the reincarnation of Napoleon. He loves Napoleon, just like the friend in Bonaparte Bon-Ami. Do you understand? You see all these parallels that are happening here? Like the ones I talk about in my life? You understand? These humiliations and these sufferings that you suffer, and then they continue to happen, you know? And what I don't appreciate is having them being organized and organized against me and organized for people through Facebook. And it's so easy to kind of program these people with confirmation bias. And so that's what's happening through Facebook, is they're getting confirmation bias of all their fears. And I just broke that down with the guy in Central Park from Yarvarder Hale. Right? He was from Harvard, and he ran an op, and now, what? He got rewarded for it. He got his own Nat Geo show. Okay? So, this kind of stuff is normalized. And I don't understand why I call out all these other channels, and I can't get a little support on my channel. I can't get anyone commenting below. I don't know. Am I harder, smarter, better, faster than any of you? Look at me, man. Look at what I'm willing to do for my project. I might get arrested. I might have to go stay in a halfway house. I might die in the streets. Who else can say that? So, who cares? I died already. I told you, I died already. And so they're like, take a look at this book. And so you got Jeremy Cloud. He's going on to Dick Cavett. Now, these Dick Cavett shows, guys are dressing like madmen. That's why I'm bringing it up. Mad Men was created in the writer's room of The Sopranos. And, you know, you take a look at this, and that's how the guys dressed, right? They dress like the guys in Goodfellas. They dress like, madmen. Look at what Jeremy Cloud dresses like. He comes walking in Clint Eastwood, fresh off the set of, what's his name? Leon? Can you just stop? Very similar to what Tarantino touched on in his film, right? And again, he's paying tribute to the films that he loves. I'm kind of doing the same thing with me. But I'm creating new films, I'm creating new narratives, and there could be 7 different directors directing each one of these films. One could look like Asteroid City. You know, I'd love to have Roman Coppola specifically, because I did work with him before. He was a really nice gentleman to me, as was his father, and I do appreciate that. It goes a long way. Unlike people who actually, know me and people in my life. Complete opposite. So, here he goes. He's handed the book, and he's looking at it, right? And like I said, Jeremy Cloud's walking in the door, dusty, with a poncho on, right? I'm not really sure if these spaghetti westerns are out yet. They're not. See what I'm saying? So he's ahead of the pack. He's like Carlos Castaneda. He's like, what's his? Gordon Wasson? What's his name? Gordon Wasson? Guys like that. He's got a poncho on. He's been down in South America. Now, when he comes back, they work with the media. Okay, so this is a big part of it. This is why I deconstruct the media. One of the oldest shows doing that is a guy from MTV. I can't remember it now. It's called No Agenda, the No Agenda show. Deconstructing the media. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I deconstruct crimes on this show. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, but I got to go with my instinct, right? And I talk about instinct as well, right? You got to tap into the Eggieverse. You got to surf the Eggieverse. You understand? If you're in the Cinderella effect and they're sending you crazy stuff, they're breaking into your device. You're not getting any love support. Like I'm not getting any from Google, that's for sure. Which is very strange because I do a show right here on Google. You own YouTube. That should be front and center to my name. I don't understand why it's not. That's all right. We keep going, right? I gotta tell you. Okay. I stayed in my bunk because I don't know how long my bunk's gonna be there. All right. Okay. So here comes Jeremy Cloud. He's doing the circuit, as they say. He's got this big, thick book. I have the name of it written down in my notes. It's all about taking psychedelics. And it's 1950, but it's really about indigenous people. He is like Joseph Campbell, okay? Just like him, he's an intellectual. He comes from a well-to-do family, but nobody knows that. Why? Because who the hell's named Jeremy Cloud? Nobody's going to be named Jeremy Cloud. The reason he's called Jeremy Cloud is like, Puff the magic dragon lives by the sea. So he is actually a beatnik before beatniks. You see who this guy is? I mean, he's incredible. And he shows up on the scene. And he's like Terry Southern on top of it. So Walter gets the book, of course, starts looking at the book. He sees the guy on TV. Now there's scenes. Walter's married. Don't forget, this is kind of mirroring a little bit of Stanley Kubrick. But hey, what director didn't get married and start a family, right? Please stand by. I hope the folks here voted yes on Proposition B and C, right? Especially if they're from the BC era. That's right, it was to give police and fire extra money. As I said, look at what's happening. Slowly it creeps in. Slowly they're cleaning up the streets from creeps like me. No, wait, I'm just kidding. Like I said before, I have to make the show interesting. So when I say Roy Stana, right? I talk about sexual things, right? Why not? Why not? We only live once. And that's why I don't go for turning on people and running game on people. I don't go for that at all. I think you're low IQ. I think you're moron. Jeez, take it easy. So, here he comes on the scene, Jeremy Cloud. Of course that's not his real name. They got to cover that up. His family wants to kill him. What were we talking about before? What was I always talking about? I was always talking about Fredo, right? I was always talking about, look at me, I'm the outsider of my family. I talked about that 2 or 3 episodes ago. Ask them. They want me dead. Ask them. Ask them. How do you think it feels to have game run on you, man? How do you think it feels to have your brain melted? They expected me to commit suicide. And 3 people from Royal Oak, Michigan were involved. Absolutely. 100%. I stand by everything I said. You get sidetracked. What do you want? It's a lot more fun that way. I give you my real life stories. I could give you a Pauly Shore story. I talk about what comes up through the Eggieverse. That's my natural scroll. When it's not being messed with. It's got to go natural. You got to surf that thing. That's what I'm talking about. You got to go with it. Because when you go and you have a good night's sleep, you're going to wake up. It's going to be a new day, right? You have to deal with that anxiety. Boy, I got a crush on that broad. Man, I tell you. You guys remember in the old episodes I was talking about your first impulse and how somebody, like, why do you fall in love with somebody? That's why they had the cremation of care at Bohemian Grove. The song Bohemian Grove is going into my property. Okay? And don't forget, all the stand-up comedians went to Austin. They all left. They're gone. So that what does that do? That brings up a new batch of young talent right here in Los Angeles. That's right. I used to do open mic. So what? I never really tried to like tell jokes. There's certain people who tell jokes. I always did something weird and like never really got any laughs. Like, but it's a little too strange. It's my voice. It's my voice of. It's like David Spade at the Velvet Ropes. Anyway, right? So you can kind of see where we're going with this, right? And so they come in and they start working with the military-industrial complex. Once again, okay? So you have the 2 films of Walter are done. We're going into the 3rd film with the Spangled Banner, right? It's like 10 minutes to midnight or whatever they were calling that, right? And here's the story. It's the best story in the world. So you've got a feckless president. We were just talking about it. And the guy's more like Nixon, okay? He's a hard-boiled drinker. He drinks booze. All those guys back then used to drink booze. You saw Nixon, he used to drink alcohol a little bit too much. Used to shit-talk people. Maybe a little bit too much. And so here he is. He has to give his concession speech, okay? So they're up at the top of a hotel. And right across from the hotel is a husband and wife. And they have the penthouse, so they have money. And again, it's funny when you cross people who have money with people who have noney, right? That's always been the case. So look at here in Hollywood. Look at all the gangsters that came from Chicago, right? And they came out here and worked in Hollywood. Building up the bars and restaurants that the people used to go to, right, and party at night, right? They sure knew how to keep a secret. Yeah, I don't need an NDA. I worked on an R. Kelly music video. I know how to keep my mouth shut. Don't worry, nothing happened. That was such a long time ago. They brought in a helicopter. That's right. Take a look at how different it is now. I worked on two films, a music video and a film that used a helicopter, okay? And nowadays, you don't use helicopters, you shoot it with drones. Well, I'm just making a difference. That's how old I am. Oh, boy. I worked on an R. Kelly video. I could find all these videos if I took the time to look for them. I think I found one once back when I was on Facebook. I'm no longer on Facebook. I'm no longer on Instagram, but I might get on Twitter. I don't know. We have to grow this channel, guys, and it doesn't really seem like it's growing. We kind of plateaued here. We're at we're not really going anywhere, but that's okay. I keep going, okay? And so these guys are sitting around. They have his book, and just like in Dr. Strangelove, they have to get some material to work with. Oh, that's right. I'm working on the film itself. This is the end result, is the film, the Spangled Banner. There's blood on the flag. There's a lot to this, right? And the president is on his way out. And so right across, right, from the president's, where he's getting ready to come down into the lobby of the hotel, just like RFK. Remember, he's in the lobby of the hotel, and they would come downstairs in the banquet room, and he would either make an announcement. Well, in this case, he's making the announcement that that he has to concede the presidency. But we all know that there's more days, right, that even though he gives the concession speech, that he's still legitimately president. So he's up in the penthouse suite. Right across the building, across the street, has a penthouse suite too. And it's like a Nick and Nora type. And she has her spy glasses. And so she could see what's going on. All right? And he's reading the paper, and they're having breakfast on their terrace. And they do this back and forth dialogue. And it's the stop sign dialogue that tells you about this feckless president. Right? It tells you that, his backstory. Because when you cut to him, and he's in a dark room with his cronies, and they're drinking alcohol, and it's 8 o'clock in the morning, okay? Right? Because they had to stay up all night. And basically, he's got a guy like John Dean, I think John Dean was a little wishy-washy. My understanding was he played both sides against the middle. And eventually he fell out of favor with the president, President Nixon. And so you have a campaign manager who is just like that, right? The campaign manager is this kid, say, from Harvard or Yale, was a big mouth, fast talker. Oh, we should have done this. We should have done that. Oh, we could have done this. And the president is one of these old burly guys, right? And he's like, we should have done what? He is like Reagan or Nixon, who came up much different. They didn't go to Harvard or Yale. And that's around the time that these Harvard and Yale guys started coming in. They started coming in around JFK, and you started getting more and more and more of them, right? And there you go, you have that. So you have this guy, you could pick whatever college, you could just say, but it's just basically what you're saying is that one came up, like Nixon, I think he like literally went to law school, and he came up that way, and he came up shaking people's hands. Take a look at someone like Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney kind of did the same thing. I would love to see that one film with Dick Cheney and it was played by what's his name, Christian Bale. I still haven't seen that yet. I really want to see that. So many films I want to see, so many things I want to do. But anyways, we keep going. So basically, he's up there, and she's kind of keeping a spy on him, right? But her husband is just like, and she's laughing at him. She goes, yeah, well, you voted for him. And he's like, yeah, well, why you didn't vote for him, right? Because you have to have this dynamic of, we live in a two-party system, guys. And again, that's what I was saying about bringing back a show like Adam's Rib. Obviously, you have to change the name. What a lot of people don't understand is that's a rich metaphor. It's very similar to, I believe it was Zeus taking either a child or somebody out of his thigh. Again, that's another rich metaphor of oh man, I was just studying it too as well. Okay, so it's actually it was a movie. It's called Adam's Rib. Okay, and you have two people on two different sides of the aisle. It's male versus female. It's Republican versus Democrat. And I think this is a great dynamic, right? Because, take a look at James Carville and his wife. I believe her name's Madeline. I want to say her name's Madeline. And, you look at them. They've been married forever, right? Because they understand that, politics is basically Hollywood for ugly people. We know that. Sorry, AOC. Oh, boy. Right? So you want to have this dynamic in the snappy banter between the two. He could care less because he did vote for him. He's like, the guy turned out to be feckless. Nobody remembers who the guy is, right? And so inside of their office, the president asked the valet to break down the glass, the mason jar of the good stuff, the hooch, right? The moonshine. And you see his valet is African-American. He's like, oh, man, are you sure you want it? He's like the voice of reason, right? He's like, right? A lot of these guys who are the voice of reason, right? He's just like, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. And him and his valet are actually friends. They're actually close. It's not like telling somebody what to do. That's why I don't buy into this notion of somebody being over somebody else. People have their places in this society. And it's called a caste system. It's always been here. That's why you always try to raise yourself up out of it. Doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how much you got. You're always going to want something different. You're always going to want something more. Just like me. I mean, I got everything right now. I got pies cooling on the windowsill. I got all my stuff, all my junk with me. Right? But I want something more. And I know I don't deserve to be targeted and attacked. That was ridiculous. You should be ashamed of yourself, people involved in this kind of stuff. And it turned out to be people that I knew. There's no coming back. I'm here to tell you, and I mean it when I say it, there is no coming back. You don't get 1 second of my time ever again. Ever again. That was brutal, man. I thought I was going to die. And people are laughing about it? No. No. I got them all sussed. I got them all figured out. That's right. But that's why I came straight here to the belly of the beast. I said, fuck it. I figured, man, I got to give it one more chance, one more try to actually make something that's everlasting. I'm working on my life's work, guys. And what we're talking about is called the Spangled Banner. What that means is blood on the flag. That's literally what it means. Right? Sorry. My neck is getting a little crampy. Man, I hope I'm conversational. A lot of times when I play my thing back and I got to watch it and look for mistakes, oh man, it's like really tough. Like, I'm like, oh man, I hope people are just listening to my show. You sure as hell aren't commenting, that's for sure. And I just think it's because most people don't have anything to say. They don't have anything to add. Because like I said, most people just accept what's handed to them. I had to go out in the world. I guess I should have been a dad. I sure sound like one. And again, like I said, there's plenty of single mothers out there. There's plenty of people who actually could, appreciate a guy like me, appreciate what I have to offer, because it sure as hell wasn't any of my family or my friends thus far. So, the president, out of the blue, this is one of my favorite parts. He just punches the fucking guy, right? Because they're all drinking and he sends his valet away. So he hauls off and he punches the guy right in the face. Now you got to understand something. Now this film comes out in 1954. And so you're going to have this violence. I mean, there's violence in all films, so we're not really worried about it too much. But I'm just saying, it's really intense. It's an intense moment. And he knocks him down on the ground. He's almost like, there's a character in Succession. No, I'm sorry. In the Billions. I apologize. I meant to say the Billions. There's a character in the Billions, and he's a schmarmy type. And so that's what this guy is, right? We know he's total schmarm. And, you guys all right? You guys can hear okay. And that's what he is, and he punches him. And then he asks the guys to leave. And because it's so awkward, right? Now, I was thinking one of the two. I don't know, maybe, perhaps, we could have him ask the guys to leave. I want to talk to my campaign manager alone, and then he punches them. So I got it kind of written up both ways. Either way, whatever way is more shocking. This is what I'm trying to say. You have to be flexible, right? I mean, we're not all geniuses. We can't all write just like this genius perfect script that you're going to have to stick to. You have to improvise in the moment. You have to get good people. I told you I read the book about Jane Hampshire, and who's that guy's name? Tom. I want to say it's Tom. He's still a producer. I think he works in video games. They were producing Oliver Stone's shooting of a Quentin Tarantino script, Natural Born Killers. This is kind of thing that I was talking about with the Manson Industrial Complex, right? That's what that film's about, wasn't it? It's about the glorification of these terrible people in our society. And I think nowadays that pendulum has swung the other way. I think the stuff that's coming out now should be a little bit more grittier, a little bit more interesting, a lot more complex, because our minds are tuned in to this TikTok algorithm and this TikTok future. Okay? Where things are coming a lot more quickly, a lot more sporadically. I don't want to see anything bad happen, least of all to me. Christ's sakes. But we have to take that into consideration if and when, which I know I'm just saying when as in the timeline because it's going to come out. You guys will see this. But again, it has to come out while we're like, you still have people around our age to enjoy this stuff. Like I said, what's going to make it enjoyable is the music. What's going to make it enjoyable is the vacillation between various narratives, simply because our minds are more attuned to it. So thank you very much for watching my show. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know.